So this is a short video on basic creed and beliefs about the Creator that everyone should agree on. So first, before we get into the main part, let's talk briefly about logic. Advancement in travel and communication have made interaction between world religions a norm. So we must seek coherence, evidence, and logic behind our beliefs. Now, blind following an authority, meaning doing what they say without needing to know the details, is okay when it comes to the intricacies of worship and law, like how to pray and how to fast, but it's not okay with the foundations of our belief and creed. We must know what we believe and why we believe it. So we do so initially through logic and reasoning, which is the only mutually agreed upon authority between everyone. So now feelings and experiences have their place. They can be deceptive at times and are limited in scope. The limits of reason. So reason has its limits. It is useful for removing doubts, but not necessarily as useful for increasing faith. Faith comes from the Creator, and changing one's religion or deciding to act upon it often comes about through positive experiences and exposure to revelation. Increasing faith comes with increasing acts of worship and service for the Creator, which brings His light into our hearts. Harms of rational argumentation. The negative effect of rational argumentation is it hardens the opponent's attachment to their arguments. They begin seeking more refined ways to make the same argument rather than admitting they're wrong and changing their views, which is difficult, and this requires humility. So guidance cannot come to the heart of one who has become stubborn and insists upon their misguidance. Stubbornness can become such a thick veil that even if they were shown a miracle, as has happened with many enemies of prophets, they would still not believe. So at this point, locks are upon their hearts. Everything can have an adverse side effect, and presenting rational proofs can result in the hardening of some rejectors of truth. So let's establish a real quick foundation on 3 points here. So when it comes to any matter, there's 3 possibilities. It is either necessary, possible, or impossible, also known as necessary, conceivable, or inconceivable. So the necessary is that which the intellect cannot conceptualize its absence. If something is necessary, it means that there's no way this thing could possibly not exist. For example, the existence of a first cause for all of creation is necessary, right? Like think about the Big Bang. There has to be that bang. There has to be a starting point, right? It has to be a first cause, because if you don't have a first cause, then you'll go back into infinity, and then it will never happen. What's happening now would never happen in the first place, right? Like knocking down a stack of dominoes, something needed to push that first domino. 2 is what is conceivable, that which the intellect can conceptualize its existence or absence. It could exist, it could not exist, right? If it does exist, this does not befuddle the mind or break, logic and rationality. If it doesn't exist, if it does exist or doesn't exist, it will not break rational thinking. It will not become impossible. Like, for example, your own existence. You exist right now, of course. I'm not saying you don't exist. I'm not like, going crazy or anything here with weird philosophy. But it is possible that you could have not existed and the universe would still go on fine without you. No offense. Or me, right? So it could have happened basically, or it could have not happened, right? And that which is inconceivable or impossible is that which the intellect could not conceptualize its existence, right? For example, having an equal to the Creator. You can't have multiple creators. This is inconceivable. This is impossible, right? So this is your the foundation of analyzing between different claims or proofs and so on and so forth, right? Everything will fall into one of these 3 categories. Now let's get into the juicy stuff and talk about the Creator and His attributes. The first category is his existence. This is also called the self-signifying attribute because it describes the being of the Creator himself rather than one of his attributes. Proofs of order in the creation indicate oneness, complexity indicate his knowledge, and variation indicate volition or will. These are also proofs for the existence of a creator, since existence is a precondition to the qualities of oneness, knowledge, and volition or will. In another video, you can find the rational basis for believing in a creator, which is too long to include here. The second category are the attributes of negation. This category negates things which are inconceivable for the Creator to have and are also determinable by reason and are confirmed in chapter 112 of the Quran. It is inconceivable for the Creator to have a partner, a need, a beginning, an end, or a likeness to creation. And note that everything other than the Creator is part of the creation, is the creation. The creation is everything other than Him. And these are expressed positively as oneness, independence or self-subsistence, eternality, pre-eternality, and difference from creation. Removing from our belief what is impossible for the Creator is known as tanzih or transcendence, and it is the most important branch of creed after oneness or tawheed. The third category are the qualitative attributes, and these two can be determined by the intellect. So the proof of life is the very existence of life itself in the universe. The proof of oneness of the Creator is order. The proof of knowledge is complexity. The proof of volition or will is variation and specification. The proof of omnipotence, hearing, sight, and speech is that their opposites necessitate weakness, inability, deafness, blindness, and muteness, which would have all obstructed the act of creation. From these 7 attributes, by logical extension, the Creator is living, willing, speaking, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-hearing, and all-seeing. The fourth category are the divine names. It is about the general attributes, which are only known through revelation. If we are to know and understand these, the Creator must inform us of them through His prophets. They are rooted in the attributes discussed before, and further explain and expound upon these rationally determinable attributes. Here is a summary of all of the attributes. For further exposition on each of these points, see other videos and readings on this topic. But for the scope of this video, we're just going to keep things basic. If you really want to understand anything, you need to read books about it. With regards to creed, any of these 3 books are a sufficient starting point on this topic, depending on how academic you are. The first is The Science of Tawheed by Dr. Shadi al-Masri, which is quite an easy read. This is found in the Safina Society website, though the book may be getting updated and not be available at the moment, depending on when you're watching the video. The other is Introduction to Islamic Creed, which is also quite an easy read by the Imam Ghazali Institute. The third, which is a little heavier read for the more academically inclined, is A Refined Explanation of the Sanusi Creed. Or read all 3 if you're so inclined. But for most people, I'd probably recommend the left 2 books. If your mind is a little bit more developed, if you're a little bit more well-read, then you also may want to consider the third book, although the left 2 books are also an excellent start as well.